All right, everybody. Good morning. Dumelang, Sanbonani, Molo. I'll say to you, konnichiwa. If you do somehow speak Japan, or ni hao, namaste, salam, ekse, hola, wuzit, and welcome to today's absolutely phenomenal webinar. I am so excited to have you here. I'm Ronald Apogee, and I'm going to be in conversation with a friend, with someone who inspires me, with just the way that they live so authentically. So joining me today in today's webinar is going to be Tebogo Proverb. Takisho Proverb is an entertainer extraordinaire. He's phenomenally talented in multiple spheres of life. And each and every day he discovers new areas and depth of his talent, from being what he thought initially was being a businessman to actually shifting to being an entrepreneur, to being on corporate boards. And he currently is on the Samro board and he's got beautiful experience, to being the host of the biggest show in the land. Key land being Key Africa in my eyes. You know, we're African. And he's joining us today to talk about, and he's also an author. So I read his book. He signed a copy for me as well. He's got his book out and that book is doing phenomenally well. And he's also created a digital learning quest, which is a learning journey for you on My Health 360. So, I mean, I can speak on forever, but here's the gist before I welcome him, is to say that when you look at life, and we've realized with COVID-19 and we realized with a lot that has happened in our lives, that life is either going to be lived or you're going to live it. So you can either go through the motions or you can literally take it and you can mold it, you can shape it, you can take the good, you can take the bad, you can take the ugly, you can take the great and choose what you make out of it. Now, when you choose what to make out of it, the challenge often becomes, how do you act on that choice? What do you do? Do you extend it out to someone else to act on your behalf? Or do you literally take your hands, take your feet, get onto the road and walk that journey yourself? And that is exactly what we're going to be chatting to Prabhu about on his journey. So before I continue, let me say to you right now, man that loves his white hats and every other hat that I can think of, Prabhu, thank you for your time and welcome to the webinar today with you on My Health 360.
Okay, Ron, the privilege is absolutely mine. Thank you so much for the opportunity to not only engage with you, but to collaborate with My Health 360, but also for creating a platform where we can engage with like-minded forward thinkers. There's nothing as beautiful as being in a space, in a room, albeit virtually, with people who are also on the pursuit of the level beyond the next, because we get to learn from each other, we get to engage, to connect, and we all leave better people, more empowered. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much, Uncle Ron.
You see now, let us declare right now. Yeah? So people in this discussion today, you're going to hear the word uncle quite a bit. And it just stemmed up from one of the most amazing titles that Proverb has, and it has it because he just is dad. And that is something that I learn from him every day. And just how he engages and deals with, and just that essence of his. And you would have seen it on that TV program where he was stuck on an island for so long. And really, the essence of who he is his kids and his family. And that is priceless. So in it, when the Proverbs kids were around with me and him, it would be like, yo, Uncle Ron, hey, Uncle Pro, hey. Uncle. So we just ends up now, wherever we are, you'll hear the word uncle quite a bit today. Ntate Proverb. Kunjan. All right, so here we go. So you mentioned it right now, Proverb. If you could give me your elevator pitch, your elevator pitch on who you are and just the core of you. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, right? Giving you the timer. Go for it.
That's an easy one. I'm a simple lady from Kimberley who came to the big city with wide eye, here to seek opportunities. Once I discovered that the opportunities are vast, I made it, a mission of mine to take full advantage of all the opportunities. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to empower as many as I can, because I live by the mantra that success is measured by how many you bring with you. So by learning myself, by trying to empower others in the process, I reckon we are all just exchanging the information, growing, becoming better. And this is why I was privileged to be a part of this quest.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I mean, that's beautiful. I love what you said there. And this is, I believe, the essence of who you are, because you constantly are looking at who you bring along with you on your journey. As whether you rise, whether you're plateauing, it's constantly who's with you in that space. The question becomes this: is that not a heavy burden to bear if people do not step up or really embrace that opportunity that you are creating to pull people with you?
It can't be, Uncle Ron, because it's a constant mutual process. The more people you interact with and engage with, there's always somebody who knows something that you don't. So just by virtue of engaging with you, it's a transactional conversation, because I learn from you. You may perhaps pick up a nugget or two from myself, and it's a constant exchange. It's not that I'm trying to carry everybody and we all going. It's to say, let us all exchange information. It's a melting pot of information that we all sharing. So I choose structured platforms like these to share my information. But, in the quest, we discuss networking, we discuss building relationships, because that exchange is very important. It's always a two-way. It's about your value proposition at all times. So it's never burdensome to learn. And besides, there's no cap, pun intended. There's no cap, nor is there a limit to how much information you can take in.
I love that. There's no cap, no limit. It's you know who said this beautifully? Matthew McConaughey speaks about the ceiling effect.
Yeah.
And he spoke about it recently, and even in his book, and he's busy, in a lot of talks that he's doing. And he says, we often say to people, reach for the stars, reach for the moon, the universe is yours. But a ceiling prevents us reaching, but a ceiling is man-made. Why are you creating your own ceiling? And he refers it into that context. So it's constant about, like you said, it's a constant pursuit of the level beyond the next. And that is the title of your quest. Now, before we get into that, let me just give people the insight. My Health 360 partnered with Proverb. One, because My Health 360 works with people that have gone through their journeys and that are authentic within that space, and that bring phenomenal authenticity and credibility to just sharing their journey with you so that you could make informed choices. And the quest is literally a 6-week journey that you go on, that's digital, it's video-based. You have different modules, there's quizzes, there's tests, there's information, so that you could utilize that information and that knowledge and that wisdom and see how it can apply to you in your life. Because when you action elements of success or growth or whatever's relevant to you through others' knowledge, that's what we call the crew, and that's what the quests on My Health 360 are all about. And Proverb is the first one that we are going live with. So we are literally being initiated right now, and you have a front row VIP seat to experience what this quest is all about. So check out myhealth360.co.za, Proverb's quest on there, Uncle Pro's quest, all right? The constant pursuit of the level beyond the next. Now, Uncle Pro, as we look at the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next, right? I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, look at this, right? That's the title. How did you come up with this narrative for yourself?
Uncle Ron, I'm so glad you asked. That is actually one of my favorite quotes. It's actually something that I live by. I try and embody it on a regular basis. And so when there was an opportunity to compile this quest, for me, it felt like the natural fit. And if I may just expand on it a little bit, broken down, it says the constant pursuit. The immediate and first buzzword becomes constant, because we have this habit, and I'm guilty of it myself, of setting goals. And as soon as I achieve them, then I'm almost at a loss to say, now that I've done this thing, what is next? What else do I want to do? So the challenge becomes, how do you then make it a constant pursuit? That way, you never settle, you never run the risk of being complacent, you're never satisfied, really. And not to say you shouldn't reward yourself with the milestones that you achieve, but rather to say, after you've achieved those, then you say, what have I then learned? And then what is next? So the constant pursuit means actively taking the steps to prepare yourself and arm yourself to then go for that next level. So whether it be by way of self-empowerment, by way of studying, by way of reading up, doing research, networking, coming onto platforms like these where like-minded, forward thinkers gather to share ideas. This is your active pursuit. Now, the level is what you were speaking about when you said Matthew McConaughey said there's a ceiling. I'm actually not opposed to ceilings at all. And here's why. I think we rise, we reach the ceiling. At that point, you sort of take stock of the progress that you make, and then that becomes the new base from which you proceed. But it is absolutely okay to sort of have a sort of point where you take stock of the progress, all right? Because it cannot be to the point where you run yourself down, you don't gather your resources. Even a plane needs to refuel at some point. So there's nothing wrong with flying, using the ceiling as a landing page, and then climbing from there to sort of aim for the next plateau. So that will be the constant pursuit of the level. Now, beyond the next is exactly that. Never being satisfied with reaching that ceiling, but rather saying, after I get to this point, let me break through, aim higher. And this is why we have the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next.
Hey, hey, hey. I feel like I want to stand up right now.
Let's do it, Uncle. Take off my shirt.
Yeah, that was this morning. I was jumping this morning, but I mean, there is such passion. To those that are joining us right now, if you've got any questions for Proverb, if you have any, just things you would like to find out about, what he's chatting about, what we're chatting about today, post your questions down in the chat. We're going to get to some of them a bit later on. This is your session for you because you are now part of the Mile 360 crew. Uncle Pro, when you look at the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next, what are you doing right now? Because, I always say, as we're driving a car forward, the windscreen is so big, and often we tend to focus on the small rearview mirror. It doesn't mean you don't look back in the rearview mirror now and then to reflect on where you've come from. But it does mean that you're moving forward, or up, or side, or diagonally, right? What are you doing right now to level up for yourself? What is the next for you that you are currently doing?
Uncle Ron, so for me, it's constant, and I'm doing a combination of things, which include taking calculated steps. So these are steps where it's been, a 10-year, a 20-year sort of goal plan to gradually evolve the brand. Those are the more calculated steps. Then in between it all, I'm also taking the risks, because every so now and again, you have to take a leap. How's that quote go about an entrepreneur is somebody who jumps out of a plane and then figures out how to build a parachute on his way down. So every now and again, you have to take the risks. You have to be in unfamiliar territory. You have to be sitting in the meeting and not know what is potting at all, but figure it out. This is all part of personal development. But also, there's the structured personal development where somebody's actively studying. I am, for instance, studying right now. I'm doing my BBA with Regenesis. 40 years old, being a first year, but this is all part of personal development. The long-term goal, Uncle Ron, is to complete my MBA, which I sincerely intend to do. And the purpose of that is not because I have any kind of academic aspirations, but rather I want to empower myself to make better and more informed moves and decisions as I progress in my life and in my career. Then, of course, I mentioned, taking chances and risks as they come, even in a foreign, unfamiliar territory. But to say, if there's an opportunity facing you, whether I'm ready for it or not, sometimes you have to take it, because in the making mistakes, in the making blunders is where the gems and the lessons lie.
Oh, wow. I say to you, and I constantly say this, Tebeka Lafeng taught me this phrase, and it always rung true for me, Mr. Brand himself.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that when you are down, lift you up, and when you are up, lift you higher.
Oh, power.
And within that, I know, and you're right. An entrepreneur jumps out of a plane and builds a parachute going down. An entrepreneur is going to fly the plane, but figuring out how to steer it and build the wheels in and the wings. It's constantly what we're doing, and that is what entrepreneurship is about. And we all know that I look at it. Nick Aramelis speaks about his passion and joy is a side hustle. His passion and joy is entrepreneurship, and everybody should be involved in a small business at some point in their lives, even though they might build it in tandem with a corporate gig because, hey, you need food on the table and money in the bank. Yeah. But here's the thing. When we look at what you're speaking about, and you speak about the constant constant pursuit of the level beyond the next. It sounds great. But we might, and as I heard it the first time, I reflected upon it, I thought to myself, okay, it's also a little bit scary. It's a little bit daunting, and that word fear creeps in. Did you ever experience fear as you're constantly chasing the level beyond the next? Or not chasing, you're constantly pursuing the level beyond the next. Did you ever experience fear, and how did you deal with that?
Uncle Ron, I think fear is a natural part of life. We all have innate built-in fear within us, whether you want to or not. The key becomes to harness that fear and to use its firepower to fuel you into the direction in which you want to go. So to be anxious, to be uncertain, and not know what the future holds, because that's ultimately the building blocks of fear. Those are all tools that we can definitely use. Not knowing the unknown means you can better prepare for it by saying, all right, how much can I arm myself? How many resources can I pull together? You know, in my team, who can I sort of position to come and help me take on this journey? You know, and all those uncertainties are also the guides to what sort of arms us to then pack this kit to say, you know what, I'm going to take on this here mountain, and these are the tools and the kits that I need to know. But I must also stress this, Uncle Ron. How you combat uncertainty is with preparation. So the better prepared you are, the more equipped you are to face uncertainties as and when they come. If you focus on the fundamentals and the basics, and this is why I'm very excited to share this quest, and I really encourage people to go and check it out, is because it is heavily focused on the individual steps and the detail to ultimately achieve this monumental goal of ours. If I may quickly share an anecdote, which I want to serve as a metaphor for what we're doing here, Uncle Ron. In 2015 and 2016, I did the Kilimanjaro, right? And while we were going up there, so it happens over about 3 days, the summit, and then about 2 days down, right? And we had porters there. And so they encourage you to pole, which loosely translates slowly, right? So it's a gradual process. You just continue to walk and you walk and you walk. And I remember on my first attempt, Uncle Ron, I said to this porter, my brother, we keep walking and we keep walking. And every time I look up, this mountain isn't coming any closer, right? And then he ignored me. Hold on a minute. He ignored me. The penny's going to drop in a second. And then we continue another 7 hours, another 8 hours. We would take a break. We would camp for the night. Next morning, we walk and we walk and we walk. And every now and again, we would take a water break, and I would look up and I would turn to this guy and I say, my brother, we keep walking, man. And it just seems to get further and further and further. What the heck? And he turned to me and he said, what has proven to be a life lesson that's so powerful and poignant and has served me really well, Uncle Ron. He said, you know, my brother, forget about the mountain. You focus on the steps, get those right, and the mountain will come to you. Man, and that has changed my life and perspective. So in this quest, the focus, because we all have individual goals. We all have different goals. I don't know what your goals are, Uncle Ron, but we all know what the steps are. So the focus on this quest is the various steps that you then apply to your mountain. And before you know it, the mountain will come to you.
Hey! myhealth360.co.za. Get that quest. If you want to know more about pole, let that mountain come to you. But guess what? You got to walk as well. So you move towards the mountain. The way you're going to walk to that mountain and that quest, click on the, let me say right now, My Health 360, I'm put that in here right now so you can see that, right? That's fantastic. And this is exactly what the quest is about, Uncle Pro. When you're talking about your experiences, your lessons that you've learned through that were relevant to you. And you're saying, I don't know your goal, but this is something that was relevant to you, and use it, don't use it. And let me tell you right now, that resonates with me. Because as you said, walking step by step, don't focus on the mountain. Focus on the step. It speaks to James. Yeah, it speaks to everyone speaks about goals and these big, audacious, hairy, audacious goals, bags, BHAG. Other people talk about, gotta have these massive goals. And I said, it's great to have a vision, but focus on micro goals and or micro habits.
Absolutely.
Did you, when you took step by step, and the pole, thank you so much, pole, yes, not pole, we're not pole, pole, hey, it's like I'm gonna, hit a bit of a groove there.
It's got a samba vibe to it, yeah.
Yes, bacha, I'm learning bacha. I'm learning bacha via this social media vibes, because I have no rhythm on my side. But when you took every step, Uncle Pro, you said focus on each step, and that's beautiful. Did you celebrate each step as a micro win? Because celebrating and owning it, whatever's relevant to you, I'm not saying going pop shampopo. What I am saying is acknowledge it, own it, and yes, next step. Great, I did it. My air's okay, I'm all right. Did you find any way to celebrate that for you, and what did that feel like to you?
Sure. Now, if I may just plug back to the anecdote that I shared. No, I didn't. At the time, remember, I was just fueled by trying to achieve this end goal. I just wanted to get to the summit, to plant the flag, take my picture, update my Facebook, right? So that's why when I came from that exercise, I took the lesson and I said to myself, you absolutely need to pop that champagne. This is why, Uncle Ron, when I plugged into what you shared about what Matthew McConaughey said, and you said he speaks about the ceiling. And I said, for me, as far as I'm concerned, that ceiling is very necessary because that is your pit stop. So at your pit stop, you absolutely well within your rights to celebrate. And who's to say don't pop champagne? Remember, with every milestone that you achieve, this serves as fuel for you to then power you for the next milestone. Maybe it's bigger, maybe it's further. Even marathon runners would occasionally stop, catch their breath, grab a little bit of water, drink it, because they know they're getting themselves ready. If you have a look at how they work there at Ironman, it's a hectic swim. But in that time, you sort of come out, get out of your wetsuit, put on your helmet, get ready your bike, catch your breath. Why? Because you're getting ready for the next leg of competition. So it is the same with life as well, Uncle Ron. You absolutely have to celebrate the milestones because they empower you and give you the full fuel for the next level. Otherwise, what's the point of it all if we don't reward ourselves? Right? Why are we
Damn straight.
Absolutely.
Damn straight. You got to reward yourself. And I know how you like to reward yourself with those red cars. I know that much.
Uncle Ron, listen. You will not shame me into my rewards because those were exactly there for me. I benchmark myself and I say, if I achieve these milestones, you keep a deal with yourself, you keep yourself accountable so that there is nothing more rewarding than walking into whatever it is and swiping for whatever it is, conscious-free, guilt-free, because you know you have earned it. That feeling is power, and it just ignites you to say, what else do I want to achieve? What is the next milestone?
Guys, how do I know that proverb is coming to the office? I hear him before he comes in. You know, my reference point is when I was a kid, BMX bicycles with those plastic guava juice bottles. There's more like. So I celebrate you, and you know what many people don't know, and you had this, not this particular one, but you had a vision and a dream, and you had the models of it, you had the pictures of it, you had, there's it, show us there in your studio office there. There you go. Guys, that is what Uncle Pro had years ago. And in that process, those are a little bit bigger now. A lot bigger now. And I love that and I love what you said. Let nobody ever shame you into celebrating what the hell you've achieved. Because when you can do it and when you've done it, you know what? It's yours, by you, for you, through you, and that's it. And when you do it for you, there's a ripple effect into your immediate circle. There's a ripple effect into your network. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps even speaking about it because that energy transference is massive. And your network will literally begin to feel that energy as it goes through. Uncle Pro, one of the other modules in the quest, in the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next quest on myhealth360.co.za is harnessing the skills of other people. And you speak about that, with a lot of passion as well. What are some of the lessons you've learned in terms of harnessing the skills of others?
Uncle Ron, there is so much power in collaboration. Once you embrace and accept and make peace with the fact that you will never know all there is to know. Somebody else will always know something that you don't. But if we connect together, the collective, we know more together than we do individually. And it goes with resources, with skills, with talent. Now, you can imagine if you surround yourself with a pool of resources and people who are better positioned than you are in various sort of skills and fortes. If you bring all of those skill sets together, imagine how quickly we can move. The proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So together we can achieve so much more. So I have learned that the departure point of it has to always be, what is your value proposition? So never come into any kind of engagement, meeting, collaboration with what can I get out of this, but rather enter and penetrate with, here's my value proposition. Here's what I bring to the table. Here is the value that I can offer. Because then what is reciprocated, I'm getting too powered up. The words are running away from me, Uncle Ron. What is reciprocated is the equal passion, equal resources and power. But you have to first bring it to the table. And that for me is what I've learned is the power of collaboration and working together.
Let me throw this question out to our audience. I see there's a lot of questions and comments flying through. Thank you so much. And Uncle Pro mentioned, what is your value proposition? Not his, not mine, yours. So let me ask you right now, if you're sitting there watching us and listening to this amazing chat right now, what is your value proposition? If you know it, plonk it in the chat. This is what we're doing as a crew here. Uncle Pro spoke about, a pit stop. Then we have the analogy of the My Health 360 crew. And the crew really comes together to guide you, support you. Everyone's an expert in what they do, but together you create a Formula One vehicle that becomes high performance. And in that process, you support the driver, you support everyone, but everyone's got such responsibilities in that. So their value proposition is the level of expertise into the bigger picture to make this car the fastest car around and to win those Formula One races. What is your value proposition if you know it? But if you don't know it, and you're not sure of it, then you've got to check out the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next on myhealth360.co.za, because Uncle Pro unpacks his thinking and his experience in identifying it for him. And maybe, just maybe, you could get a nudge, a pearl, a fire starter, a fire lighter, just to ignite that flame within you, for you to unpack what is your value proposition. So I think that's fantastic. And it's great because it links into what you said in the beginning. You, in your elevator pitch, how you pull people along with you. And recently you tweeted, not recently, yesterday, or was it Sunday? You tweeted and you put on your social media all about working with the best team in the world on the Idols platforms, etc. And that shows how you celebrate those around you, and you celebrate the collective energy and passion and teamwork through that process. Is that important to do an acknowledgement for others around you that are helping you move to the level beyond the next?
Ron, you know what? You're only as strong as the collective, just as you are only as weak as the weakest team player on your team. So for me, I really relish the opportunity to work with those who bring their A game. And again, as I said, the departure point is always to lead by example. So if you bring the right kind of energy, you automatically galvanize the team around you to ignite as well, because they can see the fire that you bring consistently. You never let the team down. You're always going your hardest 100 at all times. It becomes so easy for everyone else to work around you. Look at the best soccer teams in the world. The striker may be considered the finest player, but in order for him to achieve and to score consistently, the whole team has to work around him, from the defense to the middle players to the wings. The entire team has to come together. And you know what? It starts with the right kind of leadership. And the leadership is leading by example, leading from behind, setting the tone, setting the pace, and then allowing the rest of the team to follow. And also celebrating them just as much as you celebrate yourself. When you get to that pit stop, celebrate the team because it's the collective effort that has gotten you to that point.
All right. When are we celebrating at your house? In which level 1? We're having a party.
Uncle Ron, there's levels to this thing. First of all, just yesterday, for instance, I had to finish like a chapter, right? I had to put down a quick 4,000 words. As soon as I did, I went to celebrate and I rewarded myself by going to sit in front of the TV all sorts of hours, watching my favorite show. So those are the smaller celebrations, right? And of course, as the milestones get bigger and you tick them off, so you celebrate. So you and I are due for a celebration end of the week, my friend.
We are on like Donkey Kong, man, back in the day. You know, we know Donkey Kong. Others might not be revealing our age. We are in that bracket, people. We are in that bracket that could get vaccinated before the last bracket could.
There you go.
Vaccinated. That's how you know how old you are. Which month did you get vaccinated? That's how you know people's age group. You know what I'm saying? Attitude is everything. That is something that is resonating. I'm feeling so much energy from you. And I'm saying your attitude, not your attitude. That's, ghetto attitude. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the attitude by which you, and it links into emotion, because emotion is defined as the mental acknowledgement of your environmental factors and how it impacts you. Attitude is very similar. So attitude is something that is very important for you in good times, in bad times, in great times, and in tough times. And you approach your working environment in that context. And I surely believe it's consistent within your personal life too, to get the final product and output ready. If you could give us one thought on attitude and how we could just maybe, because right now there's a lot happening. There's so much happening that it's easy to get caught in darkness, negativity. What is that one tip to just say, maybe flip the script slightly and you could get some light cracking into that darkness?
Sure. You know what? The world doesn't owe you any favors. Fortune is not going to position itself for you. Opportunities are not going to come knocking at your door. That next job opportunity is not going to come hunting you down. That's only sort of one in a few, but it's also for people who have paid their dues. The world owes you nothing. If something is to happen, if it's to be, if you are to change the game, that constant pursuit of the level beyond the next starts with the one thing, and that is you. And it boils down to your attitude. So, you know what? If you see somebody whizzing past in a Porsche, he doesn't owe you an explanation. You know what I mean? He doesn't owe you explanation. If you want the level beyond the next, something better, higher, and we're not just talking about monetary or material success. We're talking about fulfillment. We're talking about greater quality of life. We're talking about living on your own terms. It is all up to you if it's to happen. If it's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it reigns true. And that is, if you want it to be, it is all up to you and it boils down to your attitude. It's so good and well to have all the resources at your disposal. It's kind of like the metaphor we've been using about the pit stop. You can have the best supercar with the best technology, with everything swooped up, the sort of the tires, the body, the aerodynamics. You can have it all. But if you, your driver, are ill-equipped, you are poor, you come in with the wrong attitude, it doesn't matter what resources you have at your disposal. So your attitude is the key driver for everything.
Amen to that. Drop the mic, finish and clap. Thank you very much. Your attitude is the key driver for anything. I love this car analogy. I love this. I'm enjoying it. I know very little about cars, but I love the car analogy.
You might be saying the steering wheel and your tires are pumped.
No, the computer tells me that. I don't have to know it. Here's the thing. We had a poll that went up and the question was, Uncle Pro, do you know what your value proposition is? And 69% of the audience said yes. Now that for me is absolutely exciting. I celebrate that. So to each and every one of you that know it, I say, that's great. And to the 31% that say no, I celebrate you too because you're being honest, you're being true, you're being authentic right now. And I am saying to you, check out the Proverbs Quest, the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next on myhealth360.co.za. I'm telling you that you're going to be getting the pulse to begin to guide you to get more clarity on what your value proposition is. Don't get me wrong, you still have to do the work, but Proverb has put down his journey, experience, and wisdom learned so that you could use that as a reference point to help nudge your genius within. So check it out. So thank you for answering that poll. That's awesome. All right. Next one for you. As we look at it, you are an undercover ninja. Let me just declare that right now, Master Splinter. Yes.
Awesome.
And if you're looking at that, that's a Ninja Turtles analogy, people. Yes. Again, I reveal my age. When we look at it, you went from a route of the passion of yours being music. And that has been a passion since high school for you. You had other things to do, and you then studied sound engineering. And many people know that. You know sound very well. You just don't say much, but you do. And you then progressed into that realm. And you then leveled up into your thinking. And I know this because you and I spoke years ago about it, into becoming a business owner and then a property owner. And then it leveled up into becoming an entrepreneur, because there's a very big difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur. Massive difference.
Sure.
And for me, that difference sits in that as an entrepreneur, you begin to flip and change an industry and you bring in new flavor. Whereas if you're a business owner, you're happy with that and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just very different from a thinking perspective and from an action perspective. But then you went the route of becoming a board member at a huge travel company. And right now you're a board member going almost full circle from the passion of yours in music on the SAMRO board. And you're a property dude. I mean, I'm going to call you a property mogul in training, because now you're also doing a property show and other things. So in business and in life, the one thing that I believe that you have learned is not to put all your eggs into one basket.
For sure.
And you are looking at mitigating the risk for you, because I know you don't like risk. That's one thing I know about you. You don't like risk. And if ever you want to get Proverb a gift, please get him a pen and paper diary, because he doesn't use online diaries. Where's that pen and paper diary? You see, that's all you get him. That's what I know. You know, when you know someone, then you know, I always tell him, Uncle Verb, please pull out your pen and paper. Then he knows, okay, where is my diary, right? So, however, 7 streams of income requires 7 streams of energy. So although we say that eggs in one basket, you know, all eggs in one basket could be risky, how do you diverse? How do you manage your energy? Because you need to potentially look at drawing a line between pushing ourselves and taking well-needed breaks. How do you find that balance for yourself?
Uncle Ron, I think not to take the wind out of your sails or to deflate your balloon, but the response to this question is going to be half a sentence. And I know the question itself was a paragraph.
Of course, that's how we roll.
And the half a sentence is one thing at a time. That's it.
One thing at a time, folks. One thing at a time. That's where it goes into.
When I'm sitting in the boardroom, I am conscious to be present, to be attentive. I would have prepared for this meeting prior. So when I'm here, I know exactly where we're at. I am following. I am not distracted by my phone. I am not thinking about idols. I'm not thinking about the property game. I'm not thinking about anything else that's happening. I am here. I am present. I executed to the best of my ability. Once that is concluded, I tick it off in my paper diary. Then I move on to the next thing. When I get onto the idol set, I am just focused on the script. I'm just focused on the contestants, my auto cue. I'm listening to my executive producer in my earpiece. I am present. I am here, executing to the best of my ability, and so on we go. And that one thing at a time has served me well. That's why I'm such a big believer in breaking everything down into goals. You know, I've got my annual yearly goals. I've got my monthly goals, my weekly goals, and even my day-to-day goals, where I would say from 10 to just after 11, I am engaging with fellow forward thinkers. We're talking about this quest, and we're talking about the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next. While we are here, my mind is squarely here. This is what I'm focused on. And I think this attention to detail, if we do anything the way we do everything, you know, success is inevitable.
Wow. Wow. I love that. And, you know, when you look at that, I agree with you. When you focus on something, you're focusing on something. And this is a principle I had to learn. I mean, you know me for years, and you always say to me, dude, it's like, there's like, how many 10,000 different thoughts running through my brain? Yes, others will label it ADHD.
Yeah.
You know, what I've done is I've learned, like Proverb done, he's learned about himself and through himself that this works for him. I've taken elements of that into what works for me. And that phrase that I love is mind-atation. So before I started here, I spent 30 seconds just becoming mindful of my breathing and to calm me down. So literally, focusing on my nervous system, because you get sympathetic and parasympathetic, just to calm myself down, to calm my thoughts down, to ground. Mindfulness for me in the mind attention kicks into, I'm here. I'm here. Phone's off. We're here. And in that process, I utilize it in a lot smaller chunks compared to what you do, but it's still the same principle that applies. And this is the lessons through the quest. I don't have to do it exactly the way Proverb does it, but I do take elements of it and apply it into what's relevant for me, which you can do as well. And that's a beautiful thing about the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next quest on myhealth360.co.za.
So something on my heart quickly, if I may share it, man. And sure. It's based on what we're saying, based on our conversation. A lot of these things that we consider our flaws, our shortcomings, our weaknesses are actually where our strengths lie. Earlier on, when you did the poll, you said there was some 30% of people who don't know what their value proposition is. Let me tell you, knowing that, you are perhaps short of information is your strength. Sometimes people who don't know achieve more than those who believe they do, because thinking you know everything is also what limits you from learning more. If you come into a situation with a cup that is already full, or you perceive it to be full, and you don't want to take in any more information, you're not going to learn anything new. You're not going to develop any more skills. So don't ever make the mistake of feeling that you're not certain of what your value proposition is as a flaw. That, my good friend, could very well be your strength, could be what sets you apart. That attitude of being teachable, I'm coming to learn, please feed me with information. You will leave with a lot more than somebody who came in claiming to know it all. So that teachable spirit is actually your strength. And then I want to come back to when you say, oh, they said we have ADD or ADHD and all that, and your brain is constantly running. Uncle Ron, make no mistake. That, my good friend, is actually your strength, because it means you're able to process multiple ideas at any one time. Now, if you document those and you put them down and then you compartmentalize and break them all down, imagine how much more you're able to achieve just because of how much information you're able to process. So this whole thing of being told that these are our flaws, our shortcomings, and we are not, we don't have the acumen for this kind of line of work or this kind of thinking of business purely because we are wired differently. Believe me when I tell you, it is your strength for as long as you harness it. Anything that you've been told is your weakness or your flaw or shortcoming is your strength.
Hey, you know what? You said you would have half a sentence to answer my previous question, right? That's what you've done right now, dude.
Boom!
So, that's really it. Here's the thing: we have such a beautiful comments, and I want to just share some with you before as we move towards the latter part of the discussion. Palesa Modisi, she's from Transnet. Palesa, thank you for joining us. She says, so inspired. Thank you, Proverb and Ronald, as I start to work on my value proposition. Now, that is beautiful, because if we in this discussion have ignited that flame for you just to do a little bit of work on that, hey, that's great. And if you need more help, check out the quest, the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next, on myhealth360.co.za. Figiles, thank you for all your comments. Figile is so inspired, and so much more. Fizile also wants to know from you, Uncle Pro. I want to know what drives Pro, because everything he's saying, it's possible, but what drives him to keep pushing?
I think it's this constant setting of impossible goals. So I always try and set the very impossible, because on a daily basis, I surprise myself with how much I'm able to achieve just by breaking it into chunks. When we initially engaged about this quest and you said you need this much content and it needs this many recordings and this, the schedule looked crazy and impossible to me. I was like, how, when, do I even know? What do they want? Is the information adequate? Do I have sufficient experience to share on this kind of platform and scale? But that same uncertainty is what excited me. And it said, that's the same reason I want to do it. So, again, I channeled that fear and uncertainty and I use it as fuel. So for me, that desire is to constantly, challenge myself, to constantly, set an example for my children. By the way, We live in the information age. These are sharp kids at all times. So it takes a lot to even try and impress them, much less set an example for them. So the combination of it all, trying to leave a legacy, empower myself, better myself, and just leave a mark on this world and just change it, Uncle Ron, just to make it a little bit, if not just that much better than the way I found it, is what inspires me to keep going.
Yeah, I hope it answers your question. I hope that it gives you a little bit more insight into it. Uncle Pro, in the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next on myhealth360.co.za, one of the modules you speak about, there's a key to long-lasting working relationships. How have you translated that into value for yourself?
Uncle Ron, if I can quickly just take a branch and quickly just a sidestep for a second. On this quest, I need folks to know that it isn't just, myself speaking at you and telling you what I believe to be the answer. No, it's a discussion, it's an interactive process. So there are tasks at various points where I challenge you, like somebody now said they are working on their value proposition. It is an example of the kind of thing that happens on the quest. So it's not just me spewing information and this self-righteous, I know it all, but rather to say, here's my perspective, here's my experience. Through this exercise, you determine then for yourself how you can interpret it and you can make it work. Now, having said that, please repeat, what was the question for me, Uncle Ron? I just wanted to explain that as well.
No, I appreciate that because that is exactly what it's about. And you and I went backwards and forwards. And, this is all about our authenticity. Yeah. And in it, Proverb mentioned that exact same thing as we put together the posts and the content around pushing for the webinar to really kickstart the quest. So it's not about sitting in a lecture and listening to do this, do that, don't do this. It's an interactive process and journey for you to literally be inspired, but you still need to do the work and take the pearls out on what's contextually relevant for you. This just gives you the opportunity. Us as Africans learn through stories and other people's wisdoms. Our gogos around the fire. I mean, I used to sit on the stoop and listen to the stories by my gogo, and that's how I learned about my past, the history, and things that happened. This is the same principle that applies. And you still need to make a choice. You still need to do the work. Uncle Verb, the question was, before I get into the last few minutes of a few questions that was posed by our audience, is that you speak about the value within long-lasting relationships. How has that deemed fit for you in your life through just maintaining relationships and the value just happens to happen however it happens at some point in your life?
Uncle Ron, if you and you have read my memoir, The Book of Proverbs, there's a section where I focus only on those who have been instrumental in my life, those relationships that I have, because you know what, like I've said, and please allow me to repeat, but alone, you can only achieve so much. So if you sort of galvanize those around you, but also offer a value proposition and offer your sort of skill set and support to the same team around you, trust me, those relationships will not only be fruitful, they will not only be mutually beneficial, but trust me, they will help you, because there will come a time where you are depleted. You are depleted in terms of inspiration, in terms of ideas, in terms of what to do next. And this is when you connect into your sort of a network. Take fitness, for instance, Uncle Ron. You and I are trained together every so now and again. When you're in the gym, right, and you hit the treadmill, but you're very uninspired about, what should I do next? Am I doing legs? Am I doing chest? What am I even doing? But if your trainer is there with you and they say, you know what, today we're doing chest. So pick up the dumbbells, hit the bench, and then this is the exercise that you do. It works the same way in life, in business, in relationships, because sometimes you know exactly the end goal you want to achieve, but you perhaps have forgotten about the steps. In my example about the Kilimanjaro, I was so focused on the mountain that I was neglecting the steps, but I needed somebody who in that scenario served as my relationship to say, you know what, focus on the steps. So somebody just to kind of keep you on check every now and again. These are the relationships that we need, that are important to us, and also the people we need to be in relationships as well.
Oh, I like that. It's not just about the relationships of others, it's the value you give and the value that you can receive. So it boils down to a reciprocity of value. It's a dual carriage road, as we speak to the car analogies, these whole driving vibes.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, yes. I did eat chappies when I was a lighty. Did you know the word reciprocity? We have a couple of questions, Uncle Verb, from the audience. Number one comes from Roger. Proverb, what is your secret to not running out of steam when you're chasing your goals?
So again, I'm going to flip the script. It is absolutely normal to run out of steam, and we underestimate the power of rest and unplug. Nobody says you're a failure by resting. There's absolutely no harm in resting. Uncle Ron will tell you, I am known for taking a holiday out in the middle of nowhere. We could be as busy as we want. If I say, you know what, I'm just going, the family and I packing the bags and going. And you know what, that is not giving up. The question becomes, we need to learn to rest and not quit. So running out of steam is a natural, healthy part of the process. Everybody takes a break. Let's learn to harness it. Do not think of it as a weakness, as a flaw, as giving up. Just taking a break, regroup, revisit the drawing board, and then re-attack it.
Oh yeah, regroup, revisit the drawing board, and then Ushaya ding dong. Like bye. There's a question also from Jesse. What is your value proposition?
Sure.
Or she asked me, what's mine? Right. Well. What's your value proposition?
Sure. You know, I think my value proposition is my ability to remain teachable, to learn, to be vulnerable, to come never assuming that I know it all. Despite my 20-year experience in the business of entertainment, I still come in as a complete novice, still willing to learn, still bringing the best out of others. And that's generally what I bring to the table. Not with counting, of course, the experience that I have gathered from, the entertainment industry, running a production company for some 12 years and so on. I still come in with the attitude of trying to get the best out of everyone. Because I'm a communicator and a speaker, I'm able to harness relationships. So not only network with people, but also create other networks for other people. You know, I find I spend a lot of my time not only connecting with people, but connecting my people to other people. And that is for me a value proposition, and something that I think is really slept on and underestimated as a value. You know, sometimes I may not be able to get the best out of my relationship with Uncle Ron, but I may be able to set Uncle Ron up with somebody else, and that relationship could be fruitful. But by doing so, I have played my position and benefited both. And that's my position in a nutshell.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it links into everything that we started off in the discussion with, pulling people along with you. And
absolutely.
Bringing them along, not pulling, bringing them along with you. Robin Pullen's part of the discussion. He'll tell you that he does the mind shift quest, and he speaks about the choice and the language that we then utilize becomes so relevant. And you're very astute within that with your ear.
For sure.
And also, bringing in value to your network. And, as I said, reciprocity thereof. Jacinta also asks, at Ronald, what is your value proposition? Well, it's very simple. I'll show you a picture. That's my value proposition. As you see me drinking my tea this is not the broken cup, people. It's to do with the principle of Kintsugi. And my value proposition is that the willingness to share and to be open to grow and to learn, to heal the cracks of the past and the damage that has been caused through experiences of life, and flip it in a way that brings in beauty and strength, and let that energy reverberate and echo through to everybody that comes into contact with me. So it boils down to driving the authenticity, the energy, and just letting people fuel their tanks. And I believe that's my value proposition as we shift through. Thank you, Jay, for those questions. There's a few more that's coming through, Uncle Verb. Let's get into our audience questions, right? Hardy asks, you referred to striker when you brought your football analogy into play. Please share your view on the importance of your game plan.
Uncle Ron, there's something that I did here. What did I do now?
Angas.
Hold on a sec. There you are. There you are. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things here at one go. And I'm a one thing at a time kind of guy. I should take my own advice. So where were we, Uncle Ron? Please repeat.
Right, the question from Hardy. You referred to striker. Remember when you gave the football analogy, how everyone focuses on a striker. Please share your view on the importance of your game plan.
Okay, so as I say, my game plan is to constantly empower myself, and preparation prepares you for the opportunity. So if you notice, I spend a lot of my time in preparation mode. because when the opportunity comes, you want to strike. What you don't want, I think, is for opportunities to avail themselves, but you're not prepared for them. But because you never know how the opportunity is going to present itself, when it's going to present itself, and in what form, shape it's going to come in, you have to be prepared to execute at all times. Just like with the football analogy, the striker has to be ready for the ball, regardless of which direction it's going to come. Whether he's going to bicycle kick it, he's going to hit it with the left foot, with the right foot. Is it coming from the left, the right? Where is it coming from? He has to be ready for it at all times. But in that process, while it's perhaps with the defenders, he has to be alert, looking at it, preparing for it, getting his mind ready, his psyche right, so that when it hits, you are ready for it. So for me, I'm constantly studying. I've been doing multiple short courses. I'm currently doing my BBA. The long-term goal is to do an MBA, but I'm also keeping the company of those who know more than I. That's why you see me hanging out with Uncle Ron a lot, sitting in board meetings, learning from guys, coming in with my diary, taking notes, studying at all times. This for me is being in constant preparation mode, so that when the light goes green, I can just put foot. I don't still have to get in the car, put in the seatbelt, pick the radio station, fix the goggles, fix the windscreen. You can execute at all times. There's a property principle that I love when they speak about the importance of having cash flow. And one of the reasons they say you must always maintain your cash flow at all times. And just for a little bit of context, let me take a half a step back. This is to say, instead of paying off your properties, sometimes you actually want to retain the cash flow, let your tenants pay the property. And the reason is so that if there's a new opportunity, you have the cash flow to execute. So just coming back to the point of remaining ready at all times and ready to execute, that for me is, I think, what is important.
Oh, fantastic. Remain ready to execute. I love that. There's a question from Yamkela before we wrap up. Last question coming through. In the Process Pro, how do you then handle failure, pullbacks, and critics?
Listen, failure is an exciting thing. Failure is exciting. Failure is a positive, folks. And because you learn new things, you learn about yourself, you learn to re-strategize, you figure out how it doesn't work and how it needs to be done going forward. And sometimes all of these lessons don't come from achieving immediate success. You maybe won't figure out a new way. You may not challenge yourself any further. You may not develop a new strategy, a new style, if you're constantly achieving success. I mean, I'm almost out of analogies here, Uncle Ron, but the principle remains the same, that we need to change our attitude towards mistakes and actually relish them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with even making mistakes on purpose, because this is how you figure things out. Will Smith said ever so recently, you have to fail often, but you have to fail forward. So from the failure, figure out, all right, what are the lessons to be learned here? What are the nuggets that I can pick up? Use those to empower yourself, because now you go in informed. If you look at all the success stories, anyone that we know who's achieved any kind of success, they've had major failure at one point or another in their lives. But those who have cruised through, unfortunately, have tanked. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's a little bit of an unfair example to make, but for the context of this conversation, please just accept it, right? Have you ever noticed all the people that you were in school with that were getting straight A's from the very beginning up until the very end? How many of them have gone on to do anything earth-shattering in life? Not many. And you know why? That's because they were sort of cruising through it all and expected life to be a little bit of a cruise. But it turned out not to be so. But all the ones who were at the back of the class, getting up to mischief, they were in constant detention, always in the principal's office, always making mistakes and blunders, and were written out for life. 9 out of 10 of them have gone on to achieve amazing things. Why is that? And that's because they never had it easy. It never came naturally to them. They knew they had to work harder than everybody else. So mistakes, flaws, weaknesses, shortcomings are in fact our strength. That's what makes us the underdog.
Sure. Let me add on to that quick question from Sean as the final one.
Yeah.
Is that Sean also asks, and similar to Yamkela's question, Yamkela, I hope it answers your question. Sean asks, how do you handle failure? You've answered. and toxic family when feeling down?
So, Uncle Ron, at some point you have to sort of develop an innate ability to rebuild yourself because the world, unfortunately, is not going to stop and pity you. It's a cruel world. Nobody said it was unfair. Nobody said there's always a perfect environment for you to thrive. That's why you sometimes, more often than not, have to be your own environment. But also, find company that's going to work for you, even if it's not in your immediate space. Nobody says these have to be people that are in your family and all that. There's always somebody ready to discourage you. That is the part of life. But you use this fuel, you take all of the stones that are thrown at you, and you build a stronger fort and proceed. But you have to develop skin.
You have to develop it, yeah. And building a stronger fort takes work. You've got to have the tools and skills, and you've got to put it together. That's the reality. It does take work. It's not a flick of a switch. Right? Uncle Verb, let me just say right now, and to all the audience members, thank you so much for being here. But as we wrap up, when you look at the quest, the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next on myhealth360.co.za, you've put your heart and your soul and your commitment and your passion into that quest. You've put your journey, you've put your knowledge, you've put your wisdom, you've put you into that quest. If people are now saying, let me go check it out, maybe, if people say, hey, let me go share this, it could help someone. Who, as we develop this quest, did you have in mind are those that you would like to target to engage with it? And why should they just jump on right now, click on it, share it, get onto it, and begin to really share the journey with you?
For me, Uncle Ron, I think this quest should appeal to three tiers of people. There's, there's my peers, those who are constantly aspiring for something, whether it's personal, whether it's a career. They just have goals. They're highly driven individuals and often just need, to be told about what are the steps that they can do for themselves, not necessarily to be told what to do, but rather to be empowered to take steps for themselves. Then you get those who are established, are running the course, are already in motion, are already doing what they love and living their dream and fulfilling, but just need a reminder, because you also run the risk of getting so complacent and satisfied and be like, listen, I'm in my big house. I drive my 2 machines. My family's happy. I travel every now and again. But every now and again, you need someone just to shake you up and to say, yes, but what is the next level? You have now spent too much time on this one ceiling. You have celebrated. You have popped the bottles. Time to put everything away. Get back onto the grind. Then, of course, you get the complete blank canvas, which is an exciting space to be. Somebody to say, you know what, I am young, haven't given much thought as to who I am, what it is I want to do, where I want to go. This will benefit you just as much, because if anything, it'll stimulate your thinking and you'll be better positioned to make decisions for yourself and your future.
Thank you so much. Everyone, let me say to you right now, log on to myhealth360.co.za now, share that link now, and let me tell you why. That is a platform that we have created for you. Wherever you are on your journey of actioning of well-being, and well-being is not just your physical health, it's your mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, social, every facet of your well-being. We've developed this to give you the information in a video format, the tools in a quest format and a sprint format, done by people like Uncle Pro that puts his passion, his heart, and his soul and his journey into it. We've got the My 360 Rhythm Assessment, which is for free for you. And that will allow you to identify right now which area of your well-being you need to focus on. You get a free report. All of this is available for you because it's showing how much we care about you and your journey. But guess what? You have to do the work. But you won't have to do the work alone. We have created communities and crews and really on Facebook and different platforms where once every so often, Uncle Pro will be in the session. You can have our coaches available to nudge you and guide you. And fellow wisdom from those that purchase the quest, they will be there sharing weekly as well. So we're not just saying, here you go, enjoy, off you go. We're saying we want to walk a journey with you. As Proverbs says, we want to bring everyone with us on this journey in your own way, in your own space, with your own magic, with your own mpepo waroba that you are burning to really bring that magic to yourself. So check out myhealth360.co.za. There you go with Proverbs Quest, that's what it looks like, and book it. Uncle Verb, to you, I say to you, ngiyabonga, nzakenza, danki, thank you, your time, your passion, your commitment, your sharing. You are celebrated, you are valued, and you are honored in sharing a piece of you with us. It resonated with me and with all the comments that's coming in from Bulelwa that's saying it was profound. Thank you once more, to others as well. Sharp winner, sharp.
Uncle Ron, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who engaged and took the time. And I encourage you all to check out the quest, visit the site. The link has been shared. But this is honestly such a privilege. You learn so much by sharing the very little that you know, and it just becomes a symbiosis and a continuous process. So I'm really privileged to be a part of it also. Thank you, and thank you to the team at My Health 360.
Uncle Brother teases me with reciprocity. Here he comes with symbiosis. Yeah, symbiosis. We are in such congruency, my friend. Yes, Robin, you will be proud of us. Everybody else, myhealth360.co.za, check it out. Hopelang says, failure is exciting. It makes you to be underdog by Proverb. Wow, yeah, you're right. You want more polls, you want more anecdotes, you want more stories and how we work, check out myhealth360.co.za. Hey, until next time, I say to you all, stay fit, stay healthy, but above all, you have the ability and the capability to achieve the constant pursuit of the level beyond the next on myhealth360.co.za. It's in your hands for you to utilize to the best of your ability. We got you. See you all soon. Bye.